Conference championship weekend in college football. Let's see if we're up to championship form here on Mark Rogers TV. Week 14 of our college football predictions. We're off to a good start this weekend with West Virginia covering a 1-point spread at South Florida on a last-second field goal. Brings us up to 203-52 straight up, 130-111 against the spread. And yes, those confidence picks coming through at 20-8 against the spread. We split 2 last weekend. Ohio State plus 7.5 against Michigan, and Notre Dame plus 7 against Stanford. On to the Big 12 this weekend in the de facto Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. The Cowboys a 3.5-point favorite. And what I consider the most prolific passing offense in the country against the Sooners. And Landry Jones, without Ryan Broyles, Landry Jones has disappointed this year. A good, decent quarterback, but not one of the best in the country. And the Sooners' defense is overrated. Cowboys win at home. Sooners do show up and make it close. Therefore, take the Cowboys straight. Take Oklahoma plus 3.5 points in that one. Staying in the Big 12 with Kansas State and Iowa State, we've said it before, the Wildcats disrespected by Vegas in the past. They are an 11-point favorite against Iowa State. The Cyclones with that monumental win a couple weekends ago against Oklahoma State, but that was at home. Iowa State played decent football in losing to Oklahoma by a 26-6 count. Last weekend, loses this one by a couple touchdowns against K-State and a defense that will look good against the freshman Iowa State quarterback. Take K-State minus 11 against the Cyclones. Texas at Baylor. The Longhorns a 3-point underdog against Baylor. When has that ever happened? Well, when has Baylor ever had a quarterback like Robert Griffin III playing in his final home game in Waco? This is going to be special for him, and he's going to put on a show against the Longhorns, even though Texas still has plenty of talent, especially on defense. They played their best game against A&M on Thanksgiving night, usually their last game of the season. Now they've got to go to Waco, and Baylor, a marginal team on the road, pretty darn good at home. Ask TCU in Oklahoma. Griffin gets it done. So does Baylor minus 3 against Texas. Moving on to some big point spread games. Boise State minus 48.5 against New Mexico. Take the Broncos. Just take them and lay the 48.5 points. TCU 38.5 against UNLV. Look at the Horned Frogs throw out the 69-0 game a few weeks ago. They generally have beaten just about everybody in the 15 to 20 point range. Vegas is one of the worst teams on their schedule, but we like Vegas to at least hang within 38.5 points. And again, you know we don't like the big point spread games because who knows who's going to be playing in the fourth quarter and how motivated they're going to be at that point. All right, on to the championship games. And certainly this is what Pac-12 officials envisioned, right? UCLA 6-6 coming off a 50-0 pasting to USC, playing in the championship game. Well, that's the way it turns out. So we don't have the two best teams in the Pac-12 facing off in the inaugural championship game. We've got like the best team against like the 6th or 7th best team. But here it is, Oregon 31-point favorites hosting UCLA. And Oregon will cover the spread. This thing will get ridiculous in the fourth quarter. And once the Ducks hit the gas, they don't let up. They're not going to give up if it's 52-14 late. They will continue to pile up points and embarrass the Bruins. Ducks minus 31 against UCLA in the Pac-12 championship game. Conference USA, the Cougars of Houston, at home and undefeated. Only one of 2 teams in Division 1A, FBS division, at the undefeated status, taking on Southern Miss. And the Cougars are a 14-point favorite. I usually don't compare scores, but I sized them up. Southern Miss has struggled against opponents in Conference USA, despite the fine season they've had. Houston rolling over everyone, including Tulsa. A Tulsa team 7-0 in conference play, playing common opponents as these two teams. And Houston won that game last weekend 48-16. So, bottom line, Houston rolls against Southern Miss at home, minus 14. They win Conference USA. All right, the SEC championship game. LSU, they finally found a worthy opponent outside of Alabama? Georgia's won 9 straight, but the Bulldogs are a fine team, but the two best teams they've beaten during that run, Auburn and Georgia Tech, 2 fringe top 25 teams. So Georgia runs into LSU, and it doesn't matter if it's Florida, if it's Auburn, and especially against Arkansas, one of the 7 or 8 best teams in the country. LSU is killing everyone, again, except the Alabama Crimson Tide, the first or second best team in the country. Okay, LSU, definitely better than Georgia. They get it rolling in the second half, and they cover 13.5 in the SEC championship game. All right, Virginia Tech and Clemson, a rematch from a Tigers 23-3 whipping of the Hokies in Blacksburg. But these two programs doing this season what they typically do. Clemson faltering down the stretch despite making the ACC championship game, and Virginia Tech steamrolling in November. Tech gets it done. We do expect Clemson to step up with some pride after looking horrible the last 2 weeks against Georgia Tech and South Carolina. So take the Tigers plus the 7, but believe me, Virginia Tech will win this football game. They will win another ACC championship game. Okay, Wisconsin-Michigan State in the inaugural Big Ten championship game, and the Big Ten got it right here. These are the 2 best teams. Michigan State, of course, won on that Hail Mary in East Lansing against Wisconsin. The Badgers, one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the country, should be undefeated, but they're not. They've got 2 losses. This one in Indianapolis on the turf inside favors possibly the Wisconsin offense, but that Michigan defense, Michigan State defense, is very fast, number 1 ranked in the Big Ten, so they hang with the Badgers. Wisconsin will make plays late in the game to win it behind Russell Wilson, but the Spartans keep it close. Plus 10. This is a confidence pick. Michigan State plus 10. Wisconsin wins the Big Ten championship game. All right, we're going back to that Oregon-UCLA game. The more I think about it, the more the Ducks are going to roll. Make that a confidence pick. So your confidence picks this weekend, Oregon minus 31 against UCLA, and Michigan State plus 10 against Wisconsin. Would love to see your picks. Send them to me here on Mark Rogers TV.